Hello and welcome to all of you to our webinar today, Championship of Sports Catering. We've been enjoying now for nearly 3 weeks the European Championship, and I think we had really interesting games and surprising results. But even more important, we could see fans again in the stadium. And I think that's so important. And this is why we focus today on stadium and not just the stadium. We have the pleasure today to talk about Wembley, the stadium. And besides our guests, Harry and Stefan, I'm really glad to have the webinar today together with Simon. Welcome, Simon.
Thank you, Ben. My name is Simon Lowes. Just to introduce myself, I've worked in the food equipment supply industry for over 30 years. In that time, I've worked in manufacturing, design, service and maintenance, and sales and marketing of that equipment. Currently MD for Rationale UK and Ireland, and also Vice Chair for the Food Equipment Association, the Service Equipment Association. So I'm very pleased to be here today and look forward to an interesting webinar. Perhaps I could just ask with us today, Harry Lomas, MBE, and Stefan Harper, if you could introduce yourselves as well, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Harry Lomas, and I'm relatively new to hospitality. I've only been in it about 40 years, so there's still lots to learn and find out. I spent most of my life in the military, 34 years in the military, working with food and soldiers. I came out of the military and then worked for the Royal Household for a couple of years before moving on to London's Country Hotel in Hertfordshire. I left them about 3-4 years ago and then came to the National Stadium here in Wembley, and I'm currently the head of culinary here at the stadium. I'm a member of the Craft Guild of Chefs, the Worshipful Company of Cooks. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Hospitality, and I still have my ties back with the military as the Honorary Colonel of 167 Regiment. And it's a pleasure to be with you here today and tell you a little bit about what we do here at Wembley. Over to you, Stefan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Stefan Pappert. I'm now in the industry about 22 years, and the last 6 years I spent here in London. The last 5 years in Wembley Stadium, and for me it's a pleasure to be here in this national stadium working. So I have the chance with Harry together to be here as the chef in this. Normally my restaurant is the Three Lions. It's one of the most iconic restaurants here in Wembley Stadium, and we have the biggest bar with the most beer, hopefully, in the stadium. And thanks everyone for listening and watching us today.
Thank you very much, Stefan and Harry, and also Simon for the introduction. To complete this, my name is Benjamin Nothaft. I'm an international key account manager from Rationale, and here responsible for our international customers and in the industry for nearly 20 years now. So before we start, I would kindly give you an overview what you can expect today from the webinar, what we will cover, and how we will structure the session. So we will talk about preparation before the match, also the match day and the kickoff, and we will discuss what happens after a match. But before we go into that, I would really like to understand a little bit how the last 10 days looked like for you guys, Harry and Stefan. So I saw fantastic matches in the Wembley Stadium, Austria against Italy, and especially, yes, it was fantastic. Unfortunately not for Germany, but England versus Germany. So how did you support them, and what challenges did you face in the last 10 days, Harry?
Well, thanks so much indeed for that. I'm not a football fan, so I'm here to do the food, so that's why they like me here. I don't get involved in the football. Footballers do the footballing and we do the cooking, so we have a brilliant relationship. Well, our journey really for the Euro started over 12 months ago. In fact, nearly 18 months ago, when we started going through all the specifications of the food and working with the UEFA on what was required and what was going to be delivered. And of course, then we had a little blip in the system of COVID. And pretty much coming back from COVID, it's been a very, very steep ramp up to get things working. You know, I mean, in less than a month, we've had to get the stadium up and running and working and get our suppliers on board. But pretty much, it's a big old stadium, and we've got a couple of other caterers in here with us, and just bringing it up to working standard, having it been standing still for so long, in as much as no participants here. So to see fans coming in, it's been brilliant, and just the atmosphere of the whole of the football coming back to Wembley has been a real pleasure to be here at Wembley. So really, it's just getting everything together, all our key account holders, all our food suppliers, equipment suppliers, and fridge engineers, and all the people together. And again, we had to get all our chefs back in. So our chefs have been sort of sat at home, or they've been working, doing their own thing. But just getting them back to standing on their feet for another 12 hours a day, as chefs do, that was a bit of a challenge. But look, in the hospitality business, we make it happen. And so we've started off on a good path, and everything's up and running to this date. Stefan?
Yeah, for me it was it's a very intense days, because I had the chance and was really glad about it that the Austrian team and the national team, we had as well cooking in a hotel for the team members and for the players. So it was a little bit difficult to get the Austrian chefs and the German chefs in as well. So our main function was about to get all the food, all the orderings done, and to act really quickly. So it was like working in the morning with Harry in the stadium, and then 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, change over to the hotels and get the food done till the evenings late, going back to the stadium. So it was like a life only between football and food.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really fantastic insights that we've got from you, and I think especially when you work also for the teams like Austria, you said, that makes it really interesting. And I thought due to COVID, you were much more involved than you would normally have been, right?
Yes, we had the problems that the chefs coming with the team. So the team was coming late in the evening, and they expected dinner ready. And we were standing in a hotel and having no ingredients, so we had to phone up with the embassies, because our German and the Austrian embassies was the first point of contact for me, because they had German products and Austrian products in. And the other thing was then to cook back on a really high standard, because the players are used to have food in a special way, cooked in a special way. So it was like really a little bit of challenging everything. But as well, when we had the German team back here, we were happy to cook for them in a stadium and make the food for them ready, because they had to fly back to Germany after the game. So yeah, it was full between football, cooking, and having a really stressful time. But now it's calming down a little bit, and we appreciate to have next week then the semi-finals and the final, and then Euros is over for us this time.
I guess that obviously the preparation for the match, or even for the whole tournament, would normally be a challenging time for you anyway. And as Ben's already sort of alluded, with COVID on top of that, there's some extra challenges that you've faced. How many of those challenges could you possibly foresee, and how long ago did you have to start planning for the whole tournament?
Yeah, good question. So the format of the food and the hospitality, as I say, started 18 months ago. So we've got the format, we've got the plan. But of course, COVID, and we're still under a government program of getting life back to normal. So we're still under some government research program still. And hopefully with the 40,000 we had in last week, and hopefully moving up to 60,000 and maybe a few more for the final. So still to this to date, we are under the research program, making sure that all the COVID overlay, which is our biggest challenge of what we do, because we don't normally operate in a COVID environment. But all the, we've got people arriving at the venue as in staff for the first time working in COVID environment. which is challenging, booking in, making sure that everything's, you've got your lateral flow testing and you are healthy and everything like that. That's before we even get them into the kitchen. And then there's the spacing in the kitchen and where they're working, the flow of coming in and going out. So we're using different directional ways in and out. So that's challenging in itself. And then we've got to get the food in at the right time. And of course, they've got their own COVID problems in their own supply issues. They've got country drivers and various other things about getting stock and storage in. So everybody is going through this pain of coming out of COVID. And we're actually, I think we're at the front of coming out of the COVID at Wembley. I think we're the first in the UK. We're possibly the first stadium up and running with the numbers that we're getting in. And it without a shadow of a doubt, it's challenging for the organisers and the people team. And even for those people who are coming in working for the first time in a long time. And then we've got all the supporters, all the our guests who are coming in. The whole booking in scenario, it's the Euro, so there's a little bit more added security on. So you've got COVID and security to get through. It just adds that little bit more depth and time to come in. But hopefully when they're in, they have that opportunity to see some great football, which has been good up to now. And, of course, even better food. They normally go away chanting about the football as opposed to the food. But you can't win everything.
I suppose, Stefan, maybe I can ask a question to you. I suppose, obviously, you know fairly well in advance with the programme that Harry's just alluded to, the number of fans that are going to be at any particular game. But you're catering for a number of different restaurants in the stadium, the teams themselves, as you mentioned, and the kiosks around so there's a lot going on. How much notice do you get of how many people are going to be in each restaurant, or how many fans are likely to cater for, or even what provision you need to make for the teams themselves and the team staff? I guess that really demands a great deal of flexibility. I just wonder what sort of notice you get before the match.
I mean, normally we know like 4 or 5 days before what we do on production when we go in. But then sometimes it can evaluate that one restaurant go down or the other restaurant goes up, or we get more customers in, we open a second one. So it's normally that you have, I think the last 2 or 3 days before, you should have average number or like the finalized number. But as well, it can change till, I think, a day before. Like this now in terms with the teams, when they flight in, we had only 2 days because last week, Wednesday, was clear that Germany was coming after the game. So we had like 2 days to act and 3 days to act. And then it's about you have a good network or you have a good preparation done because we know that it would come. But it was not clear that in 1 week both teams would come. So sometimes it's easier maybe when one team would come a little bit later, but now they were in 1 week. That was a little bit crazy. But normally when we have the games here in Wembley, we know exactly before what it is. It's similar on München Oktoberfest. When the tent is full. So it's don't fit more people in. I think when Wembley is full, it's similar. We know roughly numbers about on which level, how many people are on which restaurants. You know, sometimes when the people come to eat, it's like when you have a game in the evening or you have a game on a Sunday lunchtime, you can be sure that it's packed by 12 or by 1 and the people come and eat and smash it. Or in the evenings, they come a little bit late because people come in here, start drinking and then go for eating. So I think over the time, what I've been here now, you have a good idea about it. And it's a little bit like driving a car. You can give more gas and then take a break and go back and smash it.
Good.
Thank you. That is a little bit, we see you need to be efficient, you need to be flexible. Simon, I think we know how important a perfect kitchen setup is to run an event successfully. So what's your opinion on that, and how does your team in the UK normally support a perfect preparation?
I think, like many professional kitchens, but particularly in stadium, obviously speed, ease of use, efficiency, productivity, these are key pain points. And therefore, the multifunctional equipment that we supply is all about getting more for less. And a bit like a football team, I suppose, each player needs to know their place and needs to be well trained and well practiced in delivering what's necessary. So where we can support from Rationale point of view in the UK, we provide training which is free to the operators for the life of the equipment that we supply. So we can come in and help with menu development. We can assist the professional chefs like Harry and Stefan in making sure their whole team really understand how to get the most and the biggest benefit out of using our equipment.
Thank you. So, Harry, how do you guys see the importance and also consider the equipment, training, preparation, everything up front for such events?
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, a lot of this is about people. You're not going to do anything without the people behind it. And whilst the equipment that we've got is excellent, you've got to start off with the basics of the people. And I'm extremely lucky with Delaware North that we've got a great team that are part and parcel of putting this together. And that goes all the way back to the recruiting and applying for jobs and coming to work with us and all the events, whether it's football, it's concerts, it's C&B events, or hospitality events. The chefs that come to work with us, first of all, when they come here, they need to be looked after, trained properly, and they need to be part of a team. So looking after your team and the people you've got is absolutely number one criteria. Number two is making sure you got the right equipment for them. So it's we're very lucky. I've started in my early days. I didn't have Rationale. I had sort of coal and a dustbin, but we've moved on a lot from that. And I have to say the Rationale ovens we are working with now, in particularly the ovens and the brat pans, they're like having an extra chef in the kitchen in a sort of way. And I'm extremely privileged to have Stefan working with us because he is a bit of a guru on the Rationale. And that's where I think there is a skills gap. The Rationale in the kitchen, know more about cooking than I do. And I've been knocking around for a few years. But once you get to understand what the Rationale ovens and the brat pans can do, it just makes the whole organisation, planning, bringing together just so much more simpler and a lot easier and takes the hard work out of it. So rather than working harder, just work smarter, but you need to understand the Rationale. I'm sure there must be something in there somewhere. That's why they're so-called Rationale. But the idea is, and we've got, I think, the second or third generation. They've moved on to iCombis now, and they're a little bit more intelligent. But the ones here, only this week, we've been learning to do some things with about defrosting things and sorting things out in them when we've come to a bit of a tight point. And Stefan's been teaching us how they all work. And every day, as I say, is a learning day with the Rationale ovens and brat pan. So very important people. Secondly, you've got important equipment. Put them two together and you'll deliver a brilliant event. Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, we are really lucky that we have one of the newest additions from Rationale ovens and brat pans here as well in the stadium. So it's thanks to Harry to get all this organized, because it's like you can be the best chef in the world. If you don't have the good equipment, you are not able to cook and to deliver. For us is here, or for me is here, normally I would have in last year, the first digital kitchen on Oktoberfest. So all these plannings, what we had all 5 years with the team in Landsberg and in Munich, I was taking over with me and tried to implement it here. So my knowledge was over the last year when we had this lockdown to get difficult or to get explicit in this terms of how the Rationale really works, what is on the programs, how the parameters work, what is the difference between the countries of UK, of Germany, of Australia, what is the settings in America. We have a special program to make Kaiserschmarrn in Austria. It's unique in the world. It's like a really nice dish, and it's really interesting that Austria has it on programs. And then you think about, okay, what is the thing what you can set up here on programs and how you can use these ovens, how you can use all these artificial intelligence, so that for the app what was created from Rational, or for all these brain and the ratio, what is in the name of Rational, what is the best to use. So it was for me as well really interesting to give or to see the insights from the Rational and to get more known how the ovens and how the technology is working.
Thank you, Harry and Stefan. I would say very important always to talk about people which you work with. That's all about, and at the end, as you said, Harry, to make their life easier and let's say to have also the knowledge about the equipment, which is key to us, that we bring training on site, because at the end you can have the best Ferraris or cars, but if you don't know how to drive and don't have a trainer to drive them safe, you're kind of lost. And that's, I would say, highest priority, to make this as easy as possible, but to use the full functions. But I would say let's talk now more concrete about the matches. So you guys had your first match at Wembley when England played against Croatia. So how did your preparation, especially for such a match, look like? And what are you responsible for? Is it only the Three Lions and the stadium, also the guest team? How can we? How does this work, Harry?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wish I knew. The way we're very lucky and very talented to have such a great crew with Delaware North in the first instance. But on for the Euros, we've also got a partner working with us, which is Doe & Co. You'll know Doe & Co. from your neck of the woods. And they're a superb partner to be working with. And they've got some great ideas. And they're looking after the hospitality side. And my team are looking after the concession side. So it's slightly different to what I'm normally used to. I'm normally on the hospitality, spending a bit of time doing that. But as I say, Doe & Co. are coming in and delivering that. So they bring their food in pretty much in airline boxes and all prepped, ready to go, regenning and going through. For us on the concessions, and they're doing about 1,000, 1,500 in hospitality, and then the rest we're doing in concessions. So we've got the three levels: level 1 general admission and level 5 general admission, and we've got about 3,000 or 4,000 on each side, and then level 2, which is Club Wembley. That's a little bit more of a quality offer. But it's what's been fascinating for me really, and digging into the concession world, is just how important your management and your structure and your efficiency is in the concession world. In hospitality, I know how many people are coming in. I've done the menu. I know my COGS. I know my revenue. I've got it all planned because I've done it before the event. On concessions, when they come in and they come through the door in their hundreds and thousands, if you've not got your fish and chip bar set up efficiently and cooking and having your planning and preparation done and the right staff, the right amount of tills on the counter, and the structure of just queuing up and what have you, if that's not right, it can wipe, thousands of pounds off your revenue. So what's been very keen for myself and my staff and what have you is making sure that the setups and the backup is there in the plan. And this is where really the rationales have been, absolutely, they've come to a different standard in my life. I'm talking to them nearly. And I believe that's the next generation of rationale. I just tell it what to do and it does it, but they'll still know how to, they'll still require me there in the later days to just put my arm around them as well. But pretty much when we've, been hit on the burger bar or the sausages or whatever, to get them cooked, get them sorted out, the right quality, and we're talking thousands at a time, we had a few extra, perhaps not on the Croatian game, but as we've moved along, what was we hit? Did we have Austria? Have we played Austria? Did we play? Yeah. No, have we played Austria? Somebody? Yeah. Yes. So they all wanted pizzas. So normally we sent a couple of 500 pizzas up there, but we went through 1,000. But to get through 1,000 pizzas, you need some oven space. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter how good your pizza oven is, you ain't going to get 500 pizzas through it. You need something like a Rationale. And, tap in the pizza settings and pray, and out comes the pizzas, perfect in 12 minutes. So, it's just been incredible to have that backup. And one of the things I've learned from this going forward is my team and I will spend a bit of time with Rationale back at their home in Luton and what have you. I need to understand what else it can do, because it's definitely helped me in the early stages of the Euros, and no doubt in the latter stages it will be coming to my aid again. Stefan. You're on mute, Stefan.
I can only say the same like Harry. It was such a pleasure to have the ovens working and all the setups here and the parameters. So we could make the food most efficient and as well most good looking. So I had never such nice pizzas like before when someone told me to put the foam down. And I was always thinking you need the foam in there. And at this time we put the foam down and then put it back on a degree of 212 degree. I would never use this degree for cooking, but the pizza came out and was perfect. It was like in Italy somewhere. And so we can deliver, I think, with this technology, the best food what we had here for the Euros.
I think what I found out about the equipment is that there's so much more. We tend to get into a routine and use the same settings all the time. I have a computer at home, but all I do is emails. Really, I don't need it to have all the power of everything it has behind it. And it's a bit like the Rationale, just learning of the other modules and the other settings that it can do. And I bet we're only using a quarter of these settings. So one of the things moving forward, I want to just understand just what else this can do, because it might get me a couple of more days off.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that with the releasing COVID restrictions recently here in the UK, we have started running our academy sessions again. And you're more than welcome to come to an academy session specifically for you and the Wembley team. We can put one on in Luton, especially for you, Harry. So we'll
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But I was wondering, obviously during these days, and you kind of mentioned it earlier on a little bit, Stefan, with the visiting teams, they're not able to bring with them their normal staffs, a number of people with them to help with their catering needs and a number of other things. How have you had to adapt to support their operation and preparation for that?
I mean, the biggest problem what we had is that we had to set up in one day the whole operation. So normally when we have a game, we know exactly when the game is, when it starts and when it ends. But with the teams on, it was getting as well trouble on the last days that they were not allowed to train here in England, so they had to train in Austria or in Germany. So they were coming late, then they were on a charter, then they were with a bus, the food was hot, was cooked, was not. We had to wait till the bus was coming to the hotel. So there was so much planning and you have to be so flexible. And I think this is what's not possible to do when you work in a normal kitchen with normal chefs, that you are so much flexible, turn down the food, heat it again, get it hot, which is the time what it is. So I was so happy to set up with the app all the timings and know I could hold the food in. I know how to could put the food on a whole section that it has the same quality as I cooked it fresh out of the fryer, let's say like this, or when you had the steaks and the beef fillets to put it on 52 degrees. Yeah, I don't know any oven in the world who can keep it on this temperature, on core temperature, and it was perfect when it's going out. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's perfect." And I say, "Yeah, it's 2 days old, or it's 2 hours old," but the perfection and the result, what's coming out, was great, was perfect. And the teams enjoyed it. So it's like when they come to the kitchen, they say, "Okay, perfect. Stefan is here, Rational is here, everything fine."
Good to hear.
So coming now to the stadium, Harry. So when do you actually define a menu, and how many meals do you need? How many different meals do you guys need to prepare? And when does this preparation actually start then, from the planning for this day until preparation of the meals?
Yeah, so for the Euros, it's slightly different because we have to, the Euros, UEFA are our client. So, of course, we have to, it's a slow process of showing them what we have and how it all works and what we're going to do. For a normal day, normal, if there's such a thing as normal, when we've got 90,000 in the stadium and it's a normal England match, we have to show the FA the menus. We go through menu tastings, and it's a real. It's so exciting that, you know what I mean, my head chefs here, they will work on menus. They've all got a little bit of a quirkiness of what they want to do, and to be able to present to the FA, and they all sit down and they eat the meal, taste it. They'll give critique back. And we do our VIP dining, which is the 120, is a 7-course menu with 7 choices, and that's we deliver that in a within a 3-hour regime for 450 people. The Bobby Moore Lower does 700-800 people in there, and that's a 5-course meal with 3 main course choice. And again, within 2 hours, we're feeding 700 people, a la carte meal. It's not banqueting. So the team behind it, to get that together, when you're preparing the meal and putting the meal together and the menu, very much how many touches on the plate. If there's more than 5 moves on a plate, it ain't gonna, we're not going to make it. Now, in my previous life at the Grove in Hertfordshire, we did plated banqueting through the Rationale, again with Regen, and it's a different, another different way of living. We haven't got to that here because everything's done within such a short time frame, and the equipment we would need up in every kitchen. We've got 20 kitchens here that are delivering food out. And in each kitchen has got about anything up to 12 chefs in each kitchen. So that's a big demand to get out. And on top of the normal meal, we've then got all the dietaries. And sometimes we've got more dietaries than we have of the main meal. And with veganism and vegetarianism and the rest of plant food coming on board, we haven't totally moved over to complete plant food yet. But certainly there's about 2 or 3% of the population that come in. We have about 2 or 3%, but they have the loudest noise if it's not available. So we have to work with, the fads and the next generation of food we have to work with. So it all works at least 6 months, 12 months out of getting these menus together, and to be able to be everybody in part of the road of moving to the day of the event. And Stefan is just one of the chefs who works with us, and again he will work on doing the menu tasting for one of the areas to make sure we get that right. Stefan, over to you.
Yeah. I mean, we in Three Lions, we are famous for our burgers, and we have to put out in less than 3 hours, maybe around about 400, 500, 600 people. Demands on how much it was. It was when we had Tottenham here as a guest. We had a lot of more food going out. But I see it similar, like Harry is saying, you have to plan such on a long time. But then you have these 4 or 5 days in a week before the event, and then you go through in it. And on the match day, it's about that you have this efficiency, put it in, make 1 move, 2 moves, get the food out, and get the customers happy, because these people come here not to wait. We're not like McDonald's that we say, okay, wait, your number is ready, this is what we do. But these people expect to come here to the stadium to have an experience. And that's what you have to put hospitality together with the venue, together with the atmosphere of football, and to deliver a good result of your food, what you do.
Absolutely. And you said that, I think that brings us now to the part number 2, the match day and the kickoff. So now you gave us already some ideas how we could imagine Wembley. You mentioned you have 12 chefs in every kitchen. So how does this how does it look like at the match day? So how many chefs do you have and staff as well do you have on site at the match day? How many kitchens do you run when you have 90,000 visitors? And what's really special about Wembley compared to other stadia, Harry?
Wow, what a question. So in the first instance, we have about 300 chefs here on a match day. Match day starts for us and my head team, the lead chefs. We start normally about 6:30 in the morning. We've got maybe 600 to 700 plated starters to do up with about 5 different choices. So a total of, maybe 1,000, 2,000 starters. Then we plate up the desserts as well. So all that happens all well before about 9 o'clock. And then we start the logistic move of moving the food around to get to the, we've got about, there's about 15 main restaurants, but of course all the boxes have all got a little pantry and a sort of a little, and there's 190 of them. They've all got a little finishing kitchen off in them, and each one has got a chef or a food specialist in each of them. So trying to manage with the team has its own challenges. They all have a spec, so we do a spec sheet so everybody knows exactly what's in their trolley, which the team on the lead up have done, and they know exactly what's going out on the plate and how it should look. So we've got some little pictures that they all have, photographs of how it all goes together. So it's sort of, I would say, idiot-proof, but sometimes it's even challenging for idiots sometimes. But it's a challenge to get it out. Now, look, the reason we're in this business is because it's great fun. It's electric. On a game day here, so the other day when we had, what was that team called? Germany. Yeah, that was it. So when Germany was here, it was brilliant. There was a real buzz throughout the whole of the stadium. One, the excitement of the game that was coming up, but of course people are in here. They're starting to cheer. They're starting. What's the difference between Wembley and other stadiums? Well, Wembley, I think, really is a destination. You only come here for the big events. We're a stadium or a home stadium. It's routine. Every other Saturday there's a game on, and they've got local fans and they're local people, and it sort of becomes normal. Wembley's anything but normal. The amount of people, they come from all walks of life to visit Wembley. It is the national stadium. It's iconic, and the people who come want to know about it and want to know about the food. And actually, being here and working here with the team, it's just a real buzz. There is no other job that you'd want to do apart from this, and being part of it and putting the food together and delivering the food to our guests. They come here to see the main event, which is the game or a concert. But I am passionate, and my team are passionate, as I want to go away. I want them talking about the food. Hopefully all the good bits about the food. I've had a foot sausage here, or I've had the double burger here, or I've had the lamb rack, or whatever the case may be. We do go out of our way to create some great, inspiring and fresh local produce as much as we can. And Britain has got some great produce, and it's good that we can showcase it here at the National Stadium. Stefan?
Yeah, I mean it's a pleasure for me, because in Germany Wembley is for us Valhalla. So first of me was to work here in the stadium, but second as well to be part of all these organizations and see the people outside. I have never seen something comparison. What I could say, okay, it's similar to in Germany. I have here's a good thing is I have the choice to go to Arsenal sometimes, or as well to help in Chelsea a little bit. So I see how these stadiums are working, and it's like Harry is saying, it's like local stadiums. It's more about like doing every 2 weeks the same timetable. But here being in Wembley is exceptional, and the people expect to come here, have this full experience, want to have a good time as well, and food belongs to it and has a big important thing in it, how people feel and how people go out and tell about, we have been in Wembley, was the best food, was the best drinks, was the best atmosphere.
Thank you, Stefan. I think preparing food for so many visitors and especially for nearly 15,000 people in the restaurants, I think that's really challenging. What we heard from you guys, Simon. I think your team is very experienced with stadia. You have equipped, I would say, the most modern stadia in the UK, such as Tottenham and Wembley. What is for you key in order to be also able to prepare so many meals but still keep space and stuff under control?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. I think, from our team of national corporate chefs that we have, we're a company of chefs. What we see is the need to use the intelligent assistants that are part and parcel of our equipment. Harry was mentioning it earlier, really, to really make sure you get the maximum benefits. So intelligent multifunctional equipment, it's all about getting more for less. So more production, less time, less staff, more quality, more speed, more flexibility, and less shrinkage on the product. So you're making savings there. So with using functionality such as iProduction Manager or our iCooking Suite, together with the expert finishing technology that our equipment offers, will improve and ensure that quality and that speed of service that's absolutely paramount. And when you link that through the connected cooking platform, so both the iCombi product and our iVario product can be linked via connected cooking, those people like we're talking to here, like Harry, like Stefan, can see what's going on in a range of kitchens throughout the stadium at any moment in time, and can monitor what results, what's happening in the production flow, and make adjustments as necessary to ensure that speed of service and that quality is maintained.
Thank you, Simon.
So, sorry, just to follow on, maybe I can ask Stefan and Harry a question. I mean, how do you think modern cooking equipment changes the life in the stadium? Can you give us some examples maybe of how you've seen the new equipment really affecting the way you operate?
Yeah, very much so. So we have a range of equipment at Wembley, being so large. Some is a little bit older than the pre-rationale. We've got some orphan eagers to be proud to see some of the equipment we've got knocking around here. But I suppose it's horses for courses. You know, I mean, the rationale oven, the rationale suites that we've got now throughout, and I think we've got about 25 here knocking around in the stadium, and they bring a completely different dimension to the way we do the business, and more so the delivery of the product. We now we do use the rationale intelligence and make the menu round what's going there. So if it's got a rationale in the kitchen, then the menu can be a little bit more exciting. If it's got one of our older ovens in some of the kitchens, then perhaps the offering is not as exciting. So I suppose what I'm saying is that whatever we try and move with the development of the ovens and the cookers, we try and move with what they can deliver and try and make our products that we give at the end of the day that much more exciting, because we can. So Stefan was mentioning about, cooking and holding. In the hospitality, when you're doing a dinner for 1,000 people and they're going to sit down at 8 o'clock, where in this world does anybody sit down at 8 o'clock? But I'll tell you what, if the chef isn't ready, everybody knows about it. So we have some magic in the kitchen called rationale. And I suppose it's only the chefs and the people who work with the cookers who actually understand what it's doing. The idea, the people out the front, you need to give us another quarter of an hour. They've got no idea of what the magicians in the back are doing. Well, to help me do my job, I've got a little bit of magic box called the rationale. And that's how I get away with what I get away with. but you need that experience of working with the technology and working with the Rationale chefs, the guys who are their show chefs. You know what I mean? Well, look, I'm lucky. I've got Stefan here who comes and shows me all the time what I'm doing wrong. Not a lot of what I'm doing right, but he'll always show me a better way of what we can get out of the Rationale oven. And we're about to run an apprenticeship here. And I'm so impressed with Rationale is that I've put the apprentices, they've got a week on Rationale cooking, because wherever they go now in the world, there will be some form of Rationale cookers or Rationale equipment with them. And the principles, it's only going to get more technical. I'm a dinosaur. The next generation coming through will all, you know what I mean, they're cooking with an iPhone. You know what I mean, I banned iPhones from the kitchen and only realised nobody was doing anything. So I've had to, you know what I mean, go back on my word and allow them to have an iPhone so they can program the equipment and talk to the equipment. So look where we are, you know what I mean, it's not going to be long before they're doing this on a watch in the bedroom of cooking, you know what I mean, a meal. They still need the brains of delivering the actual delivery, and they still need someone to shout at the staff, which is where I come in. But that's why it's so important. Stefan?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we saw since as well with the coronavirus, where the world is going more digital and more efficient, was that these products what we have here and what we can use are maybe on 10% or 20% before, and now we are on maybe on 50% using it. But we are not full on 100% using everything. It's like Harry explained before with the computer he uses only for the email. So I think the more and deeper we go in this, and the more we can put our products with the technology together, we are able to deliver much more higher standards as we do at the moment. So we can go beyond as well, and we can give customers a perfect experience in hospitality with this. So I think what will be is not that we have to say, okay, till 2025 we will be on this, and we use the digital rationales in the digital app, and we look into artificial intelligence of cooking. It started 2 years ago, and now it's going on. So we are in this process, and the chefs, they have to adapt. So like these people who are now 18, 19, 20 years old, and they go on a cooking school, it's always still interesting how to cut an onion and how to cut tomatoes. But more interesting is about, do I know what means braising? Do I know how long a steak has to be in the oven? Do I know how the setup is for grilling a chicken, or for using the oven as an air fryer and saving oil and not giving out fish what is drunk in oil and what's getting soggy out of it, and delivers there a high performance in it. So I think this way what we started here is going good, and now we have to see how we can improve and can get the best out of it. And that's why Rational is so interesting, because I can see on the app what was developed in Germany. My whole menu for the Oktoberfest is completely done by Rational. So I can go home and sleep 9 o'clock in the evening. I don't have to stay there till 12. I mean, I stay there because I drink some beers, but I don't have to check the ovens, and I don't have to prove with a needle every 5 minutes if my Sunday roast is ready, or if the chickens are ready. So as well in Munich, what we do is these overnight roasting, overnight making stocks, the soups, the sauces, everything what we put on is perfect for us, because sometimes 4 o'clock at night we get an alert, the pork nuggets are ready. So we can adjust and can say, okay, let it in the oven, put it on hold, but that's like bigger numbers like we do here in Wembley Stadium. But that's the way how the cooking will change. I think in 1 or 2 years, because no chefs are coming here, and staff is maybe going somewhere else and working because they don't want to work in the industry. It would be more interesting and getting people excited how to use these ovens, and to replace maybe the shortage of not trained and well-educated chefs with the technology of Rational.
Thank you, Stefan. I think we mentioned the journey, so we will also move our journey towards the match day. So now we are at the match day. The first fans are coming to the stadium. So when we talk now about that, and we talk now the fans are actually here. So how does this work, especially for the teams now? Let's talk about the teams. So how do you prepare the meal for the teams in the stadium when they arrive, also during the halftime? So how does this work for the teams?
Yes, for the teams that are coming in, each team has a different requirement. So there is, they will give us a list of whatever they want, and then we will we'll make it to their requirements of what they need. Some of the chefs, the team chefs, we know, so we know the specifics of how they want it, and then we have a team that deliver it over to them. Predominantly, they're all post-match. We have a little bit, during the match, half-time stuff, but predominantly it's all about post-match. So as for the players, the officials, the linesman, the referee, all these sort of people, the ball boys and whatever, they've all got something that they want, and we put together whatever their requirement is. So I have a full team just doing all the ancillary feeding. It's a job in itself. And certainly it's, again, where the ovens come in, where we can hold a goulash or something we can put in there and keep that for the team, ready to give them before they fly home after losing. Sorry, I give that away, didn't I? Sorry. Before, whichever team it is, we can hold it in the rationale. As for the, then you've got all the customers. You've got all the hospitality customers coming in. So the hospitality normally opens 3 hours before the game starts. Then we've got general admission is an hour before game starts, depending on what game it is and how it's working. So all the time from about 4 or 5 hours out, it all starts to ramp up until we're ready. Now, the one thing I can tell you, if the kickoff is at 8 o'clock, it's at 8 o'clock. The referee doesn't come on there and say, hang on, we're just waiting for the rationale to knock out another tray of chicken, or the pizzas aren't ready. So there is no, I'm not ready. We are in an industry where there is tight deadlines. So the planning and preparation and reliance on your teams and equipment is paramount. And again, the rationales by putting program, the timers on and what have you, for half time for the pies, you can put them onto program and all know that that's all working behind the scenes whilst you are delivering the first part of it. So the whole thing is works together. It's very much interconnected with all the cogs, making sure one cog breaks down and all of a sudden there's a bit of an emergency. And that's the one thing where you still need a human to knock about, because he's the one that can make the decision of where about and what we're going to do. And of course, then we've got all the staff. So I would say in the stadium, we must have 2,000 staff on an event day. They all need to be fed and watered in all different guises of whether it's a staff restaurant, whether it's a packed meal, organising 1,000 packed meals with 10 different varieties of dietaries is a task in itself. Now, again, just bringing it all in. So all the supplies coming in, they've got to be in on time. So they're fresh and everything go out, dealing with the suppliers, just making sure that all that comes together. So I suppose that's my task, to make sure when the ball is kicked at 8 o'clock, everybody has been fed and watered, ready for the match. Then all I've got to do is look after the half-time and full-time. Stefan?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when we have in Three Lions, the people coming in, at this moment the door opens, you are packed. So you have to deliver all the burgers, all the nachos, all these steak sandwiches, whatever we have on. And you have to deliver exactly to this 5 minutes, 10 minutes before kickoff, because then everyone moves out. So people expect, I want to have my food ready, I want to eat it, I want to have a good food. So they don't want to come back to you and say, hey, what's this, how you done this? So it's about the knowledge, how you do it. It's about the timings as well. And there's where we always met and come to the bottom line where we say, Rational helps us so much with this technology. There's no comparison in the world where you can say it's the same machine helping the humans. So it's like, for me, is I would go wherever I am, I would go always with Rational. Doesn't matter where I am in the world.
Sorry, good to hear. I just wondered if I could ask maybe 3 questions all rolled into one. So I wonder, first of all, does the result make a difference? So either at half-time or full-time, does the result make a difference to the way you have to operate and the number of meals you're serving, or the number of snacks that are being served through the concessions or whatever? What after the game, what does the end of your day look like inside the stadium? How long after the game finishes does it take for you to finish, or is there a final dinner to serve, or staff to serve, or something? And just finally, my final question for you: the final will be in a few weeks' time, and there'll be a number of dignitaries and VIPs attending that final specifically. Does that also then change your operation? Does it change the way you have to think about which meals are being served and when?
Good. My memory recall's not all that good, so I might come back to you to just repeat some of that, but let's have a try of it anyway. So in the first time, does the match have an influence of what we're serving at half-time and full-time? Yes. I suppose I didn't understand that in the early days, but if you understand, and there are people here who are better than me, the general managers and the football gurus and what have you, they understand what's happening. So if for instance, England are doing not too well and people are not happy, they'll walk out the stadium. People vote with their feet. And there are some matches, perhaps, national football teams that have come and they've had brought a following down, and that team has not done too well, or they're being knocked out. And where we're expecting, perhaps to make some money and do some work at half-time and full-time, we found they've left the stadium. It's amazing, it's a very passionate game, football, as I've come to find out. So, yes, it does have an impact. And how do we manage it? We manage it where best we can, however we can, and try and recover whatever we can. What do we do at... we're a business. We're not a charity, Delaware North. So the idea, everything that we're doing, we are looking, first and foremost, we're in business. But, of course, we're here at Wembley, and it is my... main sort of challenge is to make sure that all the guests are happy with the food and beverage when they come here. And therefore we have a team round there to make sure that happens. And therefore the appropriate measures of what we do for them when they finish is, so it's not just a complete big piss up at the end of the night. There is, appropriate drinking as they leave in the different lounges. If we've got 90,000 people in, we don't just open the doors and everything pours out onto the streets of Wembley. There's an organised dispersal from the stadium, and by allowing some people to have a little bit later drinking or eating, post-match teas, pies, that sort of thing, allows the stadium to empty in a manageable state. But 90,000 is a lot of people, and to get those out in an organised fashion, I take my hat off to all the stewards. It's amazing how they do it with as least problems as we have. And the final is coming up, and we will have some VIPs. Most likely see you there, Simon, as one of our VIPs. But we've got everybody down from royalty will be here. My mother's most likely going to come down, so we do have VIPs here. And how do we cater for them? Well, again, we know the majority of who our VIPs are, and we are already in consultation with them of what may or may not be required. And there is another team who put that together. And it's a real privilege for that team to be able to feed and to look after these people the way we do. And when they come, they have to be, we look after them, and that's why they come back. They're worth $1 million. We look after them. And it's not difficult food, but it needs to be correct. And it needs to be delivered to the correct standards and specifications that's required. Actually, the whole of the UEFA have got some strict requirements of what's got to be delivered, even down to the packed meal. We must have had more meetings here about a packed meal than I get involved in a royal function. And we had more opinions about the size of the yogurt and the size of the drink than you can imagine. However, after about 4 months, we managed to pack the packed meal away. But it's the detail and the passion that everybody puts into it to getting it right. Hopefully that answers some of your question. Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's similar. At this moment when the kickoff starts, you have to first have a look on the staff what's with us, if we have to feed them, or as well to have the clear back of the kitchens back to the main CPU as well, clearance in the main CPU, what you can use, what you can't use again. Then it depends on who is in here for the after show, or who's winning like the FA Cup, and who's doing the after show and which venue and whatever. So they expect as well some good food on a top quality. So normally it's not that we can say with kickoff we go home everything. And we have as well with the Euro games now always a meeting point when the kickoff is, that we met down in the kitchen because we had some burgers more to do and some requirements to do as well. So it's like, I think when you go out of the stadium maybe half an hour later, but you are still in the brain on this because it was so vibrant and so exciting to be in this tournament and to see all these fans back, what you didn't have for the last 18 months. And as well the staff is happy to get something warm as well in between. And yes, for the final, doesn't matter who's in the house. Normally, customer for us, king is king. Everyone get delivered the highest standards what we can do. But like Harry is saying, people expect it, and we try to strive this experience or this challenge what they want to have on food wise in a best way.
Thank you, Stefan and Harry. I think we had now a lot of questions. We talked a lot. I think we had so many questions, but it would be a pleasure if you guys from the audience would also have some questions which you would like to know from Harry and Stefan or Simon. So please, now it's your time to ask questions. Feel free, please. Put them into the chat, and we are more than happy to answer them for you. During that, I will start with a short question. So Harry and Stefan, I think you didn't have that much time to calm down. The next match is already waiting. So how do the next days now look like, and how do you already prepare for the next match?
So we're already preparing for the match as we speak. We're going to have the weekend off because we just need to take stock of time. Again, we're dealing with people. People need to have a little bit of rest and recuperation, ready for the setup before we get these two big matches back to back. So we've already started putting the stuff together. We've got the supplies coming in already. Some of the sauces are being made. Some of the pastries are being made, ready to go for the next matches. So we've already started. In fact, Stefan's been at it all morning.
I mean, I appreciate to have a weekend off. I have no idea when it was. I think it was before we started back in business here. But on this tournament, normally it's like similar for me when I'm on Formula One. You are striving on the tournaments, and you go, and it's not that for me. It's like that I needed days off or things. So you're always ahead on production, doing things, and I think we look really good for the two games because it's this clockwork what here in Wembley works, and that's different to all the other stadiums. It's like a running clockwork. Somewhere else is going like a little bit not so good prepared, or you are not so good in advance, and as well you don't have these people who can expect these numbers, because like when you cook at home, you cook for 2 people or for 5 people, but here we have to multiply everything on thousands and on 10,000s out of it. And if you have this vision about what it means to have like 15,000 dips filled up I mean, that's a large number, and you need only logic about how many is in one container, what is packed, how you can count it, how you can manage this, how many trolleys you need out of it, where you store it, in the fridge, outside the fridge, how you label it, all these things. That's for us a good thing because our daily business and you are in it. Someone else from outside, he would in and say, what you guys doing there, how you manage this. It's really hard to understand, but if you are in it, I think it's like you do it every day and every week and every year on. You are in it and you know what you do at the end of the day. So I can say we are really well prepared for the semifinals and for the final.
Really good. Thank you, Ari and Stefan.
Have we got no questions? Perhaps we were very good at answering all your questions. Everybody is blown away with how fantastic Wembley really is. We're always looking for good staff. Feel free to drop me a line. I'm always the good thing about doing good things at Wembley, we have good people who deliver it. So if you are a good person, feel free to come and help us at Wembley. Am I allowed to do that?
Absolutely.
Well, perhaps I can close the session maybe by just thanking particularly yourself, Stefan, and Harry. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you for a real insight into how it works inside Wembley Stadium, how the catering operation works, the challenges you face, and the great team you have there. And thank you to all the audience. Thank you for participating this afternoon. If you do have any questions afterwards, please feel free to contact anybody at Rationale, or leave it something in the chat on the webinar here, and we will come back to you. So thank you all very much for all your time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.